The Canadian heartland, a big prairie sky and a horizon as far as the eye can see. Here, grain fields and pasture land are divided by a crisscross of country roads connecting one community to another. It was one of these country roads that took Jane Kerr on a journey that she would never forget, one that would change her life forever.
I was driving along a country road about 20 miles from my home, and I came over a hill, and I was headed straight for this pond, and so I pulled to right the truck to go around this slough, and it slapped the truck sideways, and the other side of the road was a 6-foot drop, and I just went straight over the embankment.
It's over in the space of 15 seconds. All the time it takes to turn Jane Kerr's world literally upside down.
The roof of the truck, it had caved in and hit me in the back of the head, and that sense of feeling trapped was overwhelming. There was a huge realization for me that what I thought was going to happen was I really thought I would die.
Realizing that panic is taking hold, Jane calms down long enough to discover that there is a way out.
I was able to crawl out of it and get up onto the roadway. I really was a long ways from anywhere. I was probably 10 miles from the nearest town. I believe that shock is an incredible thing that happens to people that sustains you to be able to function when really I should have been laying down. I had a sprained neck. I had a damaged vertebrae in the bottom of my back. I had my leg had hyperextended from being on the brake. So even the fact that I was able to move is incredible. I'm still in shock, refused to go to the hospital. I just wanted to go home and have a bath and go to bed, which I did. And the next morning, I couldn't move.
At the hospital, Jane is fitted with a neck brace and given a prescription for an anti-inflammatory to check the swelling and ease the pain. But Jane is concerned about taking the medication and chooses not to until she can see her family physician, Dr. Marriott Van Wyck.
She had a really painful neck, stiff neck. She couldn't really move her head around. Her back was quite sore and stiff. She couldn't sit down. We talked about what we're going to do and how we're going to treat this, and I said a chiropractor would be beneficial as well as a massage therapist. The reason for that is that we know they've done studies in the States and they've showed chiropractic manipulation does seem to help for whiplash injuries.
She's very open-minded and willing to look at other healthcare alternatives. She's the person who recommended massage therapy as the next step in. We started with a chiropractor, but what she and I discussed was that it would be better to work with the two together, one for the bones and one for the muscles.
We knew that she was in pain, and there was a lot of swelling and a lot of areas that needed to be addressed. And there's also just the whole shock of being in an accident, which affects your entire system. Nervous system, muscular system, every system in the body becomes affected when you're in shock. And obviously, in Jane's case, I mean, the accident was very severe. So it wasn't just a physical shock. There was a lot of emotion happening around that as well.
With her chiropractic and massage therapy sessions in place, Jane continues to search out other alternatives, including acupuncture and Reiki massage, all with the full support of Dr. Van Wyck.
Even when I did the acupuncture, that was something I talked to her about, and she felt that that was the next logical stage.
There is definitely some medical conditions which is better treated with traditional medicine, and I always tell that to the patients, but I don't discourage it. I tell my patients this is the things that's out there.
Despite the support, Jane's progress is slow. She has her good days, but there are bad days too.
There were days when she came into the clinic and would be you know, very positive and very much herself, and there would be days when the pain had just gotten to be too much for her and would be in sort of a depressed state.
Initially it was quite difficult for her to accept the fact that she's been injured, because she's a person that tends to go and help other people.
A few months after the accident, Jane suffers a relapse, one that not only affects her physically, but emotionally as well.
What happened when I had the relapse was the realization that I may never get back to what I was prior to the accident. And it was like an emotional bottom fell out. I did a lot of crying. I was overwhelmed with a lack of hope.
When there's an injury, it's not just the muscles alone that are injured. It encompasses the whole body, the whole body, the mind, spirit, really.
It's this realization that sends Jane looking for a more holistic approach to her recovery. Again, with the support of her family physician, Jane makes an appointment with naturopath Dr. DoxNM.
After the first consultation with Jane, what was really evident to me was there was more than just physical trauma associated with the accident. In some way, I had a sense that her body wasn't able to process through the accident. It was still almost stuck in that state.
I became aware that up until that point, I had not dealt with the emotional trauma of this accident. That I had basically picked myself up on the side of the road that day, walked my 3 or 4 miles to where I had to go, and that the sensation that I have is like I put my hand in the middle of my back, and I've just been going forward ever since.
Ancient Chinese medicine is known for thousands of years that the emotions can actually affect the way the organ systems in the body function, can affect the way that the life force, energy flows through the body. Each organ system in the body has an associated emotion that can throw it off balance if it's not addressed.
Dr. Amel suggests a combined program of acupuncture and guided imagery, which uses the imagination to put the body in a state of total relaxation.
The guided imagery I felt was required to bypass the analytical part of the brain, the part of the brain that had her trapped in that reliving the event. There's a lot of energy that's stuck in there that needs to be released. I use the acupuncture to facilitate the release of that energy.
He was able to go back and literally revisit the accident itself and reprogram what happened, give me a different insight into it. Instead of stuffing it down, I was able to actually feel as afraid as I was, to go through that and come out of it positively.
For Jane, the work she does with Dr. Amel is like the coming of spring, thawing her frozen emotions so that the healing process can truly begin.
I think no matter what I was going to do physically, if I didn't heal the emotion, I was not going to have success with the physical. The work that I did with my naturopath has literally allowed the other work that I'm doing to stay adjusted, to stay in a more comfortable place. And I'm probably feeling the best that I've felt since the accident right now.
She has definitely made a lot of progress. She seems to be more herself again, positive, taking charge of things, being motivated towards recovery, but also not pushing herself too hard.
Jane's ordeal began on a lonely country road. Today, she travels a different one, a road to recovery that takes her to places she's never been.
One of the things that's happened as a result of this accident is I have become very aware of what's happening inside my body. I have needed each person for whatever stage that I was in recovery from the trauma, because I believe I could not have recovered all in one go or with one type of treatment.
No one knows your body better than you do. No scientist, no doctor, and we need to realize this, and we've forgotten this over the years. I really encourage people to embrace their intuitive ability and to take charge of their own health. So in doing that, examine all the possible alternatives.
I think that wholeness is about your whole being, not just your physical being, but your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual. And so if I'm damaged and hurt, then I have to heal all 4 of those areas.
We all know the importance of fresh fruit and vegetables in our diet. Nutritionists recommend at least 5 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables every day. But in the rush of our Western world, that's not always possible. But there is an answer, and it's fast food at its healthiest. Of course, I'm not talking about something on a sesame seed bun. I'm talking about juice, the fresh, raw, unprocessed juice of your favorite fruit or vegetables. Concentrated, nutritious fast food in a glass.